back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, abrupt climate change, and things adjacent. Uh, After editing yesterday's movie, I realized that for whatever reason on my screen, everything's turned around, but it gets turned back around. So you guys are seeing everything correctly. Um, so it's funny because there are obvious ways in which YouTube is trying to minimize this channel's reach and voice. I On the video I made on April 8th, where I said that poachers should be shot, um, uh, regardless of how you feel about that message or not. And I'm back and forth myself. But anyways, what's funny is that video has gotten to about 970 views 3 times in the last week. And every time it gets almost to 1,000 views, they knock it down like 100 views. So now it's like stuck at 860 views. I didn't know that they were going to do this. I wish I would have screenshot all the times that it had reached 970 views and then went back down to 850 or whatever it was. I'm going to try, maybe in the future, hopefully, if I catch on to something like that happening, I can screenshot it and so I can have some proof. Right now, I don't have proof other than I saw this happen multiple times. Another thing, and also on the last video, on yesterday's video, I have about the normal number of likes and comments that I do on every single video, but way less views. So like 400 less views. So I kind of don't believe their counts and their tallies, and I don't know what's going on, but they're definitely playing around with the numbers a little bit. So that being said, thank you for your viewership. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your presence. I have some very thoughtful, insightful, and intelligent viewers, and I appreciate y'all being here. Wanted to cover a few things today. Oh, another thing I wanted to tell you about. So I have this. Has anybody seen those new Apple iPhone advertisements where it's like Earth shot on iPhone? It's like beautiful pictures of like landscape and I just, something about those pictures, there's billboards of that all over LA, and something about those pictures annoys me to no end. So I had an idea, and this is my idea. Nobody take this idea. I'm going to start doing very dark versions of that. So I'm going to have like homelessness shot on iPhone, or outdoor prisons shot on iPhone, despair, ecological destruction, fake clouds. I'm gonna do a series of these. Obviously, so I already posted the first one, which was called "Dead Tree," shot on iPhone, and zero likes, zero commentary. Nobody gets the joke. It's a joke. It's humor. It's very dark humor. But I'm riffing on this iPhone thing, and I'm going to continue doing it because I just want to poke people a little bit. Interestingly, so and I'm annoyed by this thing that humans do about watching nature on TV or watching nature through our phones. They're like, oh, how beautiful. Which is, it's obviously better if you can be out in nature, but what we're doing to nature, I just find that there's a disconnect between like our enjoyment of nature, on video or on a camera or on screen, and what we actually do to nature and what we're doing to nature, wholesale, as in destruction. There's a serious disconnect. So I want to, I want to illustrate that disconnect through this picture series. So I'm going to just do a bunch of them and probably annoy the hell out of people. And hopefully people will catch on like, ha ha ha, this is, ironic. This is funny on some level, but maybe the joke's on the population at large, so maybe that's not very funny to people. I don't know. I don't really care. I find it hilarious. So let's get into some stuff. So Extinction Rebellion has been sending these daily emails, which is kind of cool. A little wrap up of what's going on. I'm gonna, if I can do this, I'm gonna go through this first one here. Dramatic events in London today ended in a resounding success for our brave, resilient, and kind-hearted rebels. It's easy to write about events, numbers, and happenings, and today is no exception as we tenaciously held onto all 4 of our now cherished sites. But what might escape observation, despite being so much more important, is the way we do such things. Nonviolence and consideration are not just abstract ethical commitments. They're a constant practice which must be renewed and maintained, and they're essential to the success of our movement. Despite very little sleep and great emotional exertion on the part of so many rebels, we're absolutely nonviolently smashing this practice. This can't be overvalued. Back in the quantitative realm, we're apparently blowing up on social media. Our membership has been growing by 3,000 a day. Our Facebook at some points by 1,000 an hour. We've also been making waves on non-social media as XR member Robin Boardman gave Sky News presenter Adam Bolton a total schooling in nonviolent communication. So this is what we were, what I showed yesterday and was talking about, and it was amazing. The disconnect between the Sky News presenter Adam Bolton and the XR member, what he was trying to communicate. And with today being the day of International Peasant Struggle, it's only fitting that we've got another round of awe-inspiring actions on the international scene. Special credits must surely go to XR New York City for blocking Brooklyn Bridge and protesting outside City Hall, accruing 62 arrests in the process. XR New Zealand, on the other hand, wins a whole load of points for creativity. There's a link there, but I'm not going to. Well, let's go there. We can go there. Guess what? Because you can see my screen. What did they do? I don't know. It's not. Well, I think that's the wrong link. So anyways, going back. Other incredible actions include roadblocks in Sweden, occupations in Australia and Canada, and die-ins in Canada, Germany, and France. Many of the actions highlighting the theme of food security and solidarity with farmers and peasants all over the world. One reason cited for today's imposing police actions in London is the approaching Easter bank holiday, just as it takes officers out of their helmets, so it will swell our rebellious ranks. We're now just one day from this watershed moment. Better yet, XR Scotland is reaching the UK capital this morning, bringing fresh and experienced rebels to help bolster the ranks of our now long-held sites. Our tactics are working, our values are holding. Have no doubt, even if we all go home tomorrow, the world as we know it has changed, and we're not going anywhere. So I believe the XR Scotland people have been walking from Scotland to London to take part in these actions. So here's a very interesting story popped up on my Instagram feedy. Flight attendants know the real job killer isn't the Green New Deal, it's climate change. Our union represents 50,000 flight attendants. We know climate change is a huge threat. So check this out. Pretty much everyone on the plane threw up is not a sentence most travelers want to hear, but that's a direct quote from the pilot's report after United Express Flight 3833, operated by Air Wisconsin, hit extreme turbulence on approach to Washington, D.C. in 2018. Extreme turbulence is on the rise around the world. It isn't just nauseating or scary, it's dangerous. In June 2017, 9 passengers and a crew member were hospitalized after extreme turbulence rocked their United Airlines flight from Panama City to Houston. A few weeks ago, a Delta Connection flight operated by Compass Airlines from Orange County, California to Seattle hit turbulence so sudden and fierce, the flight attendant serving drinks and the 300-pound drink cart was slammed against the ceiling of the plane. The flight attendant's arm was broken and 3 passengers were hospitalized. In my 23 years as a flight attendant and president of a union representing 50,000 others, I know firsthand the threat climate change poses to our safety and our jobs. But flight attendants and airline workers have been told by some pundits that the Green New Deal, uh, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Ed Markey's environmental proposal will ground all air travel. That's absurd. It's not the solutions to climate change that kills jobs. Climate change itself is the job killer. So that's all I'm going to read of that article. I'm going to link it below, but I just want to say it's funny. So there, the Sky News reporter who was in the broadcast that I showed yesterday, he was like, well, no more air travel, no more vacations. The thing that people are not grasping, very slow to grasp, eventually, possibly they'll start grasping this when it's already bad. Very slow to grasp is the concept that there will be no air travel. Air travel will not be possible because it will be too hot for planes to take off. There will be too much turbulence in the air, right? If it gets to the point where there's so much turbulence in the air, the wind shears are so incredibly strong that it starts taking down planes. Oh, well, do you think that might kill the airline industry? Do you think that might ground planes? Do you think that might keep people from flying because turbulence, or who knows what other lightning, who knows what other kinds of things might happen that might keep planes out of the air or might make it very, very dangerous to fly? So you're saying like, oh, you're proposing that we stop air travel. Well, guess what? Air travel is going to be stopped. It's going to be stopped because climate change will stop it. So climate change is the job killer. Climate change is going to take your job, those jobs, air travel jobs. It's going to take, a lot of people's jobs, and you don't have a choice about it. You're not going to say like, no, we don't stand for it. No, climate change is going to knock you right out of your job and go deal with it. And that, that's not me being like mean or, unsympathetic or, uncaring or uncompassionate. That's just what's going to happen. Compassionate degrowth means trying to explain to people, look, this is, things are going to change. You cannot live the way you're living anymore. And I know that you are, you really love this lifestyle. You really love this paradigm. You really love this industrial civilization. It just cannot go on. It cannot go on the way that you think it will, the way that you hope that it will. And that is unfortunate. Again, the guy from XR, he was saying to him, look, we're sorry that we're disrupting. We're sorry that we're disrupting this travel and disrupting people's lives, but this is, the message is life and death. The message is so important. We need, better a little disruption today than complete and total disaster tomorrow, right? That's logic. That's just logical. But the powers that be, or the people in control, or the people that are running the news, that logic escapes them. They cannot grasp that very logical conclusion. And it's unfortunate, and that is to the detriment of people at large. There will be no air travel. I mean, whether it is because of environmental complications or because our economy completely collapses and, nobody can afford to fly anymore. There just won't be won't be that many planes running. I mean, I thought it was very interesting that he said only air travel in emergency situations. How about only car travel in emergency situations? How about only, shared cars? How about, taking 90% of the cars off the road? Gasp. What does that do to the whole electric car industry? What does that do to the whole consumer, the consumer base, the consumer economy that we now have going? The consumer economy that we now have going has to end. Or it will end because climate change will kill it. So you can either, compassionate degrowth is understanding that this is the future and this is what's going to happen. So you ease people into this transition rather than have them slam against a brick wall, which is not very compassionate. Moving on to the last thing I wanted to read for today. This is from the Daily Cause, which I no longer subscribe to. I don't really like the Daily Cause. I don't know why I need to tell you that, but I find a lot of the articles to be very hacky and super duper partisan, but that's just me. But this is worth reading. Jason Box, prominent climate change or climate scientist. Earth's ice is melting much faster than forecast. Here's why that's worrying. I don't know why you'd even have to explain why that's worrying, but he's going to explain it to you. This is from March 4th, 2018. Jason Box, my personal hero and famed Greenland climatologist turned glaciologist, penned an editorial titled Earth's Ice is Melting Much Faster Than Forecast. Here's why that's worrying, which was published in Garn Press. I probably read something on this when it came out and when it happened. In early February, I recommend you read it, as he and other climatologists are the true heroes of mankind. They have warned us and continue to warn us that we've added so much greenhouse gas from the burning of fossil fuels into the atmosphere that we now can affect the biggest threat that humankind has ever had to face become a nightmarish reality. President Obama in 2015 warned that it is not ISIS or even nuclear-armed rogue states that is the biggest world threat, but that there is no greater threat to the future than climate change. And he was right on the money with that. In his editorial, Box provides the process of how climate change in Greenland has rapidly progressed during his career as a Greenland glaciologist, and how can we expect many unwanted surprises going forward. So I'm going to quickly just kind of go over some of these points. Box warns us now that current climate models lack key processes that will reinforce warming even faster than previously expected. If the past decade of scientific inquiry is any indication, I'd say we are in for more surprises. That notion is further supported by the fact that climate models used to project future temperatures lack key processes that likely reinforce warming or the effects of warming, not regulate it. Despite decades of progress by many clever scientists engaged with climate modeling, climate models used to inform policymakers don't yet encode key pieces of physics that have ice melting so fast. They don't incorporate thermal collapse, ice softening due to increasing meltwater infiltration. Climate models also don't yet incorporate increasing forced ocean convection at the ocean fronts of glaciers that forces a heat exchange between warming water and ice at the grounding lines. Climate models don't yet include ice algae growth that darkens the bare ice surface. Climate models don't yet prescribe background dark bare ice from outcropping dust on Greenland from the dusty last ice age. Climate models don't include increasing wildfire, delivering more light-trapping dark particles to bright snow-covered areas, yielding earlier melt onset and more intense summer melting. As a result of some of these factors, and probably some as yet unknown others, climate models have underpredicted the loss rate of snow on land by a factor of 4. That's quite an underprediction. And the loss of sea ice by a factor of 2, which is also a huge underprediction. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Until next time, peace.